Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Telegram, Twitch, and sometimes even the Prepper Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and today is September 11th, 2022. This is episode 168 of the Workshop Podcast. And I have got a real heathen on here this evening with me, an expert drywaller. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. How's it going, Tim?
Good. I flipped things around there right quick, so I'm going to get my announcements out of the way. I knew I'd screw you up real good. So
yeah, you're good.
For everybody out there, two quick ones. Number one, patch of the month. You have heard me beat that drum. It's real exciting. The first ones are going out this week, so you've already missed the first month, but the beauty of a subscription is you can get on anytime you want. So patchofthemonth.co, $10 a month, $100 a year, and you'll get politically incorrect morale patches sent directly to your door. Just what we want. I showed one off the other day on TikTok, and somebody said the 14-year-old boy wants his wallet back, and I said, too fucking bad. You're not getting it because I like it too much. So you got to love it. So TikTok. Oh, what a cesspool. Number two, the Self-Reliance Festival. If you're going to go, if you're planning on going, Brian, you're going to be there, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yes. All right. So we're both going to be there. And it is October 1st and 2nd in Camden, Tennessee. Tagline or description: helps you take control of your future through inspirational presentations, demonstrations of hard skills, teaching folks how to do new things, highlighting makers, providing a roadmap for building preparedness, self-reliance, and self-sufficiency. And unlike other prepper or homesteading events, SRF adds a hefty element of developing your small business and a mix of practical skill building. I'm rather excited. So if you're interested, I got a link in the description. Hit it up and please come by. Right quick, a shout out to Studio 8424. He has us live, which is great. And finally, today's tool. Who doesn't love coffee? You like coffee, Brian?
Yeah, I fancy myself a coffee aficionado.
Yeah, I know. You're quite a bit bigger coffee snub than I am, and that's okay. But my pick for today is the Stanley 48-ounce French press coffee maker. I love that thing. Use it a fair bit. I actually just kind of use it as a coffee transporter more than I do for a coffee maker. But if you're looking for something to camp with, to use, because you know the old 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is a guarantee. Well, it's always great to have a whole bunch of ways, look at that, to make coffee. Ain't nothing wrong with French press coffee at all. So, Amazon link in the description. If you pick something up, it supports the workshop. And without further ado, how you doing there, Mr. Alexovich or Alexa Glitches?
Yeah, doing great. Never better.
Good. I hear you've had some fun recently.
I mean, I got not much to do tomorrow. Let's say that. You know, everybody's coming out of the weekend, and yeah, so newly found freedom. Let's put it that way. As of last week, where did everything go? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Had a little mouse click there. What is going on?
I got you here. Yeah.
All right. Still there?
Yeah, we're all good. I can hear you. We're all having fun.
Cool. All right, yeah, I clicked on something and it was started to load, and then my internet is so hit and miss that it started to freeze everything up. But yeah, I kind of went through a rough spot with our house. We're in the middle of selling that and had an offer in. Kind of went 3 weeks and right down to the last minute, and yeah, I've kind of fell through. Owners were they're the potential buyers. We're the owners, I guess. The potential buyers. Yeah, they were trying to do a DIY drywall install because for a loan qualification. Loan requested that they had all the walls covered, and our house is in the middle of a remodel. So they decided they could do it themselves. It was obvious after a couple of days that they had no idea what they were doing. And yeah, everything kind of fell apart. And yeah, so yeah, that fell through. I was kind of angry about that. I was kind of angry that I had to go back to work because I was going to be able to quit my job when I sold the house. And yeah, I kind of went whole hog into letting them know what I thought about them at work, and they didn't like it too much. So I'm no longer an employee there, and just going to figure it out on the fly, I guess.
You're now self-employed. So that
do you have to make money to be self-employed?
Oh no, definitely not. I didn't for the first year. So
hear that, Corey? I can tell my wife now that I'm self-employed, even though I'm not bringing any money in. So thanks, Tim.
That's like when I meet people for like the first year, they're like, well, "What do you do?" I'm a podcaster. Oh, really? You know? Oh, I see. So yeah, okay.
Hey, I make enough to nope, I don't even make enough to buy my good coffee.
It's okay. It comes with time, you know, and it's
Yeah.
always hilarious.
That's what it is. And, you know, I'm excited to have more time to put into it because I was doing everything I was doing on top of working anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week. So yeah, it's, you know, if I can get some time, that's why I was so excited about selling the house. That was going to provide me the opportunity to take 6 months or a year or whatever to really just dedicate to building stuff on my own and not having to worry about spending that 40 to 60 hours giving it to someone else. Yeah, so that'll come. We'll sell the house eventually, and it'll all work out. And yeah, we have some interesting decisions to make in the meantime, but we'll figure it out.
And you guys are going to be at Camden with me?
Yeah. We were down there in the spring. Went down in the spring. We were hoping. So we've kind of had a failure to launch here. This will be the third time.
It's okay.
We retrofitted our trailer. We talked about that last time I was on, actually, and we had just got back from Swatch Fest. That was supposed to be our first launch, and we just weren't even close on the house. Winter came in Minnesota, and I mean, you can't get shit done in winter here. Other than try to stay warm and keep things from breaking. And so we wanted to possibly be listed and sold by spring SRF. That didn't happen, but now we're listed and we were going to be sold. And we want to head down that way. We kind of want to buy a property right away down there. You know, some raw land, smaller, 5 to 10 acres. And then, just have like a home base and develop that as property one in my grand scheme of things. So we'll see. I mean, we're taking everything we have. We're rolling out like we're not coming back. So my realtor up here, I trust him. And man, who knows? Maybe we get an offer while we're down there and we just hang out and see what happens. Because everything we have to do on our end is either done or can be completed remotely. So
that's all. It'll happen. You know it will.
I mean, I'd love to get that phone call in the middle of Tim's content creation to monetization speech, and I get that text from my realtor, "Hey, got an offer, full price, let's roll." I'll be like, "Okie dokie."
I will interrupt my presentation just so we can make the announcement.
I'll hang out. I'll start shaking my phone.
Brian and Corey won the lot. They're doing good. So no, I forgot to look back. How long do you remember when you were on the show the first time? It was very close to when I launched the interview portion, but
it was November, January.
Okay. It was before that. It was before Christmas because that's when you just had the Genesis. And we're going to try, we're going to beat around the bush with everything tonight, but I would love to have a central theme of collaboration because, well, way back when, I think this is over a year ago, maybe a year ago. I don't know. I messaged you, I think, on Instagram and got you to do a community member spotlight, right?
Yep. Yeah, I did a little video for Leatherman, actually. Still have it in my pocket.
And you were...
it was a tool. Yeah, it was a tool, do a tool review. I had just been kind of hanging out in the community. I've been in your live chats. And I wasn't even podcasting or anything yet. We have had our YouTube channel since like 2015, I think. But with full-time jobs and different jobs throughout that, plus all the farming stuff on top, we didn't have the time to do the content creation. And our internet connection was just absolutely horseshit until we decided what we were doing with the trailer. And when we moved to cellular internet, with a router in, like, we put SIM cards in a router, cellular SIM cards, and that's where our internet comes from. Until we went to that, there's no way we could have done content from our place. Like, it would take an hour and a half to upload a 3-minute video. So I mean, how much content you're pumping out at that point?
That's like friggin' dial-up. Jeez.
It was worse than dial-up. It was actually worse than dial-up. We're in an old 1920s farmhouse. And when they did any upgrades to the lines, they stopped at the house before us, which was the person that lived in our house was their mom. So
they didn't
when
care.
they're like, oh, she doesn't need it. She doesn't need it. So they never ran it to our house. So we had old school phone line that they were trying to run DSL through. And yeah, it's just been horseshit. I mean, I was getting like, I think at some points I was getting just over 1 meg download, and I was getting like 0.2 meg upload.
Oh, well, that old lady didn't care. She used to pick up the phone and ask for the operator to patch her through. So
for sure,
that's all she needed.
I don't even know if she had a phone in here the way it looked where it was run. So I went back and forth with, and there was only one company, and satellite was just ridiculously expensive 7 years ago and didn't work worth a shit here. Yeah. I think if we had moved here today, we would have had Starlink tomorrow and it would work fine. But
what was the name of the satellite? We had it up here too, and it was
shit.
Yeah. That was one, and there's one other one too. But yeah, they're just, I mean, they're basically.
If it snows, it's bad, and like it snows every day here. So in the winter, we would have never had internet, and that's when we need it.
I remember when Mom and Dad got their little mini satellite dish for the first time. Remember when they came in, the minis, and they were great. And all of a sudden, the signal, it gets snowy and then it stops. And I look outside and it's friggin' snowing. I thought,
yeah, you gotta take the broom out and hit the bottom of the satellite dish so it all falls off.
Yeah, it was miserable. I was, I didn't know that, but all right, So so I had you on and we chatted. We talked a bit about. Well, we were talking about you guys getting ready to launch the Lots Project and run around and have fun in your camper. And
Yep. Had just I think we just got back. So I did the tool review for the community spotlight, and then rolled into doing an interview when we got back from Squatch Fest. Had retrofitted the camper. We kind of talked about that and all the things we put in it. It kind of got me the bug and realized that I could probably do this shit every day. And so I figured out my podcast that I'd been waiting to do for like 2 years before I came on your show, and you were kind of the catalyst. So yeah, I appreciated that a little bit, that kick in the balls and say, why aren't you doing this? You just did fine and we had a good time. So maybe you should just do this. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah. Well, I got to pat you on the back. I mean, it's not, it's not going to be a mutual assistance group tonight or nothing, but I mean, you launched your podcast in January. What was Friday's episode? 190. So you've put out like fucking 190 episodes in 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing mine for just about 2 years and I'm at like 160 something. So.
Yeah. Every morning. I took SRF trip off is the only thing that I've really missed. There was probably a few days in there. We were traveling and internet was kind of sketchy and stuff. And I didn't get any in the bag before that. I was just kind of too busy before we took off prepping for the trip. And other than that, it's been every Monday through Friday, half an hour every morning at least. And then, 15 to a half an hour. Started at 15, but was doing interviews up until our trip. And then that kind of got wonky, but coming up this Saturday, back into interviews. So 6 days a week.
Chris Dixon, the compliments are flying. Earlier, Aaron called us gentlemen. She obviously doesn't know us that well. And now Chris says the man never quits talking. I don't know if he's talking about you or me. It could be either.
Well, I mean, yeah, Corey will attest that Chris is definitely right. I never shut up. So that was the thing. Like I started my podcast and I'm like, well, at least now I can talk for a half an hour and maybe somebody's listening, because 90% of the time that I'm running my gums, she's just ignoring me anyway. So
Josh says both. So, all right. So I got to ask, because, shameless plug for my presentation at SRF. But one of my points is be fucking consistent. 3 words. And you've lived it. But how hard, and Aaron says, fake it till you make it. We've all done that. I talked about a community that didn't exist for a year before I actually had a few people that were here, right? So, yes. So how easy is it to just get up every morning and do a podcast 5 days a week?
It's not.
How come?
Well, I mean, for a long time it was. So I had 7 years of shit I did that I could talk about. But like you said, I'm 190 episodes in. So there's a point where you've talked about everything that's happened, and we're kind of in a holding pattern with what we're doing going forward. I had envisioned that I would have enough time to cover what we've done and transition into what we're doing as we're starting to do it. There's been this big lag in the middle. So there's been some struggles with, the evening before going, what the hell am I going to talk about? Because all I did yesterday was go to work, come home, and I didn't have anything to fix. I didn't have anything to work on. I don't have any animals anymore. The camper's ready to roll. We're all packed up. What am I going to talk about? So that's been a little bit of a struggle. Every morning. I mean, it wasn't bad because I had to get up, go work anyway. And so I just did it with my morning coffee, and it was such a beat down routine. I knew exactly. It took me 37 minutes. Like, I punched into work at the same time every day because I would look at the timer on the thing, and at 25 minutes, I'd start doing my wrap up stuff, then my ending. And I knew the exact sequence of downloading the audio, uploading the audio, posting all the posts, and it was all prepped the night before. So it was just like bang, 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 punch into work, go.
What time do you start podcasting, or were you starting in the morning?
6 a.m. Central.
So, and since it took 37 minutes, I'm guessing you had to get up 37 minutes earlier than you normally did.
No, not really. I used to start work early. I had a pretty flexible schedule. I had to start before 8.
Okay.
So I started at 6 every day. And then when I decided to do my podcast, I said, well, I'll start after my podcast every day. I know it's not going to take till 8. So then I kind of got in that groove. First episodes obviously were a lot shorter and a lot shittier.
Funny how that is.
Yeah, they're really bad. But I got to a point where I was moving into that groove and finishing every day between 26 and 30 minutes. If it went over 30, I was like, wow, it's 31. Holy crap, that was a long one. But yeah, and I would just make sure I was punched in by quarter to 7 and be home by quarter to 3 because I didn't want to put one extra minute over 8 hours into that place if I could help it.
So you never missed an episode. Okay. So when nighttime, say 7, 8 o'clock at night, you got to get your ass up in the morning and do a piece of content. Mm-hmm. How did you come up with something? Because you never didn't not come up with something. I think
I thought about it all day. I thought about it all day usually. And a lot of times the bald chick sitting next to me would come up with something for me because it'd be like, she goes to bed at like 7:15. So I had to catch her early. So it'd be more like 6:30. I'd be like, hey, what am I going to talk about tomorrow? And she'd be like, what do you mean? Start yelling at me. But she'd toss stuff out to me a lot of the times. So there was a lot of times when I was in that flux period where I didn't have a lot to talk about that I would make up a title the night before. And yeah. I try to think about it as I went to bed and hopefully chew on something in my sleep. And then I always took a shower when I got up before I went to work, before I did my podcast. Like, I get up at 5 and then start podcasting at 6. So there was some time there. I mean, there were days at 5:57. I didn't have any notes on my paper. I just had a topic and I went,
that's awesome.
Let's roll.
But you did it.
It's only a half an hour.
Yep.
Like, I can talk for a half an hour. I bartended for a decade. You have to be able to talk about anything at any time for any length of time and entertain someone. So I know I've been out of it for over a decade now, but that skill doesn't go away. And I was pretty good at it at that point. Like, I don't have the velvet tongue that I did at that point in my life, but man, I might get back there. And I made a lot of money bartending. Maybe I can make a lot of money entertaining again. So
was there ever a morning you got up, you didn't want to do it?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
The reason I'm asking these questions for anybody out there listening is because I don't want people to think it's all glamorous and exciting all the time.
Oh no, it shit sucks sometimes, especially when we're talking about collaboration tonight. Like, you got Fireside Freedom or the after party. I got those Tuesday and Wednesday nights. Maybe I worked 6:45 to 6:30 at night. I had a 12-hour shift and I was supposed to be on Fireside or hosting Fireside Freedom that night. I get home at 6:30. I got to log on at 6:45, do another hour podcast, hour and a half, then download, do all the postscript, still set up my show for the next morning because I didn't have any time to do it. And I do it at night, get it all set up. And yeah, then try to get some sleep, get up and do it. Yeah, I didn't want to do it sometimes.
But you never missed.
I didn't. I just did it because I knew if I did start skipping and gave myself excuse to do it, I would do it more often, and that's not cool. So,
like me with goddamn carbs. As soon as I let myself in, oh man, I'm in trouble. So yeah, I get it. Okay, so for those who don't know, when we chat, usually beforehand, we get a couple of minutes to chat before we go live, and typically, kind of polite society, we have a few minutes to chat afterwards as well. I mean, if somebody's nice enough to come on your show and be a guest, you're obviously going to sit and shoot the shit or answer their questions afterwards. So Brian and I, of course, that's what we did. And we chatted, and Brian brings up, he's like, you know what I'd love to do? He's like, I'd love to do I don't even know exactly what you called it, but something like a podcast supergroup. I think we were talking about,
well, it was on Lose the Goose.
That's it. Yeah, there we are.
I said, I'd like to do kind of a spin-off, not a spin-off, really,
minor league version,
the same kind of format with a different set of podcasters, like a different, not necessarily a different genre, but just, I don't even want to call us less. We're not lesser, just smaller audiences.
Yeah.
Started,
newer
experience, newer.
Yeah. Greener,
Greener.
So I'm going to be completely honest, because Brian and I think I'm an encourager. I usually try to encourage. I'm always trying to tell people to go for it. So I'm talking to Brian. Brian's like, hey, we should do this podcast supergroup. And in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, go ahead and do it, Brian. You launch it. I will support you and I will come on board. But I'll be damned if I'm going to put a whole bunch of time into setting it up, just because, I already had a lot of shit on the go. I'm just being truthful. Well, Brian took the ball and he rolled with it and he ran with it. And then he started reaching out to other people and pick up the story there.
Yeah, I just kind of threw it out there to, like, I asked you, I asked Amy, I talked to you guys, were kind of the bigger influencers that I had regular contact with, said, hey, who do you know that would be good for this? Like in our space, in our, not necessarily
Midwest.
Pepper.
Yeah.
Well, not even locational. It just kind of rolled out that way. Like everybody that got shot out was kind of in that central to Western time zone, Midwest area. I mean, it was Kentucky to you, basically. Everybody started kind of pitching out names and started throwing messages out and asked people, hey, you into this? Like, I don't want to own it. See, that's the problem now. Like, I set it up and kind of orchestrated it, and now it's kind of like, well, it's yours. And like, it ain't mine. It was never meant to be that. It was just kind of, let's do this and let's get together and talk.
And it runs itself now. It really does. Like, usually somebody, occasionally it needs a little, point with a stick, but yeah.
Yeah. And then we kind of rolled through that, and it was by happenstance. Like that was intentional. That was, hey, I see a opportunity here, especially if we have a bunch of smaller audiences. Like you have Jack and Nicole and John Bush and all them that were on Loose the Goose. They weren't really in need of cross promotion to each other. Does it always help? Absolutely. You never turn down the chance to get in front of different eyes, but they had a lot of the same circles, but they weren't benefiting as much as we could from cross promoting smaller audiences.
Yes,
is what I saw. That's the intent that I went into. Not that I wasn't enjoying making content. I wanted to enjoy making content and talk with the people, but I mean, yeah, you got to do something self-serving too. So, I mean, it was a way for exposure for all of us, and something new. And we were able to promote it as something new and exciting, and it worked. I mean, it was fun. It is fun still going on. Some changes have happened, but that one was orchestrated, and we talked about collaborating. We planned it. It went on. We plan it for, I think, over a month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we originally you were on the show in November. That was the genesis.
Yep.
And then we
January.
started talking about it in early December because I was heading out east because Dad was having his surgery.
Yep.
And we all picked like the second week in January to launch it. And
Yep.
and you started the Telegram group, and that ran for, I mean, we were a month probably behind the scenes, you know,
Yep.
doing the whole thing. And yeah,
it was. So there was that, and it worked well. You know what else? Collaboration could just happen because you were part of the genesis of the after party too.
yes,
You were on the Unloose the Goose is kind of falling apart. Which I mean, it was time, you could tell.
Yep.
And you were on, and Brian was on, and you guys kind of just went, "Hey, you want to keep going? Because it's been a long time. Let's jump over on my channel."
Yeah.
Beating you. So you guys jumped over here, and I was like, yeah, I'll jump on. I was just kind of watching. I jumped on, and we called it like the after party. It was a lot of fun. So we were like, well, why don't we just do this every week? And we'll do it either after Unloose the Goose, and then Unloose the Goose went away. And so we just kind of
kept doing it.
And it's been a blast, man. It was holy shit last week. I went, what it is, like it's even for me what it is a night that I can bullshit with a bunch of other content creators that know the stresses of having a format and coming up with notes and doing thumbnails and blah 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 blah, and you can sit around and just bullshit.
I think I might have, maybe not the first mention of it, but I sure started launching the genesis of the Patch of the Month Club in there too.
Oh yeah,
we first started talking, and because I don't give a shit, I'll share all my ideas.
That's the beauty of it. We sit around and we joke. I mean, if you have little ears, you don't want to play that in front of them. It gets raunchy. It's like a bar room, really. Mm-hmm. But we're also there to help each other with ideas because we're all kind of in the same boat, and we've all seen the same thing. Oh, we've all seen different things, but we all know what we're thinking. So, yeah, you throw out an idea and we can help you pick it apart because it sucks, or we can help you make it better because it's almost great, or we can tell you, dude, just run with it because you got it nailed.
Yeah.
And it's that intermixed with laughing and joking, man. Like, yeah, it's fantastic, and it's for nobody else other than the people there. Listening to it is great. Don't get me wrong. I would love it to get popular. I would love people to listen to it and like it, but that's not why I do it.
There's not enough humor in the preparedness space. You know, as far as content anyway, everybody takes themselves so goddamn serious. And that's why I love the guys that are coming on this week there, Cam and Colby from the Casual Preppers podcast, because they're like a PG rated kind of version of.
Oh, right there. Renegade Butcher's comment right there. Like last week we talked about farts in jars and crapping weight scales.
Nothing wrong with that.
It was fantastic.
I introduced Charlotte to Jackass the other day, and it was the very first movie where he goes in and he avails himself of a display toilet in a small hardware store. So yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did they fly kites out of their buttholes on the beach in that one?
Not that one. That was probably the next one. There's certain, she's 12, so there's certain things I still skip, but it is.
Well, I don't think they really showed anything.
No, oh boy, the newer ones they certainly do. But anyway, but yeah, well, the other thing I was thinking about the collaboration too. So jumping back to Fireside a little bit, we've all basically been on each other's shows at this point too. Mm-hmm. You know, it just all of a sudden opened up to another half dozen guests that we can call in 15 minutes and be on the show, you know?
Well, right. And that worked out for me one morning. I had a guest lined up. So when I was doing live interviews, man, I'm not pre-recording them. So it's not like if something happens and I can't get on, or the guest doesn't show up, or they have issues, something conflicting, they forget, I'm high and dry. Like, I got a show, I got it planned, I got it promoted, and I'm going to log on. I can't, I mean, I guess I could talk for an hour, but on what? I don't have anything prepped. I mean, that's kind of my fault because I didn't have a backup interview and I don't want to do that to someone. I don't want to be like, hey, dude, you want to do an interview with me that might never play? Like, and I had to do that for my on-call weeks when I was on call because I couldn't guarantee I was going to be there to do it. So I would find somebody and I would play it that week, regardless of if I was home or not. I would play that interview and then I would sit in the chat if I was available. But for something like hey, if I have a guest that doesn't show up, like what are the odds that's going to happen if you do your due diligence and they're, like you follow up? Well, right. It happened to me once and, I did 17 interviews or something so far.
Yep.
So yeah, whatever. I could have probably made it work. But I dropped a message. I dropped a message to you and Brian. Brian was in bed still. And I think you were in bed.
Yeah, I was. I was just on my phone, playing on my phone, laying in bed.
I'm like, dude, anyway, you could jump on in 15 minutes, but I don't think my guy's going to show up. You're like, yep, let me grab some coffee. I'll be right there. Brian's like, hey, yeah, I'll jump on. And we did like an hour and a half about anything.
Whatever. Yeah. I had very recently. So previously I had a guest who didn't show up and I just canceled. I panicked and I'm like, shit, what do I do? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to cancel and I'll rebook or whatever. So I did. But then the next time, in both times I had done my due diligence and checked up but it was just extenuating circumstances. So the next time I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to wing it. No notes. So I kept telling myself, I'm going to put together a set of show notes that I have just for that scenario. And guess what? I didn't, because you don't. And so I winged it and I ended up doing a show on, what was it? Wood heated hot water heaters and geothermal, whatever it was. It's like, not including the promoted episodes, it's like my second highest episode I've ever had.
Yeah, it rolls like that. When I got to a point where we had some stuff going on here,
yep.
So there was a lot of time there in the middle where there wasn't a whole lot going on. There wasn't a lot of stuff coming up, and when I got to the point where my show notes were basically like I just remembered what happened the day before. What I did, because we had some projects we had to finish on the camper once the house got listed. Well, then the house got listed, so I had all these projects I was doing. I was fixing the steps, I was fixing the door handles. The weather was nice, so we were out doing stuff in the woods, and so those are kind of my favorite episodes where I just talk about what I did the day before. If I get all the way through it, I do. If I don't, whatever. Yep. Now I can go a little longer. So that was always the point I wanted to get to, was being able to do it and not have a hard deadline. Like, I got to go to work, so I can do up to a half an hour. I can't do more. I could have, but then it screws up my whole rhythm. And I'm such a routine person with like work. Mm-hmm. It has to be a routine. So it would have messed that up. But now I wanted to get to a point where, hey, we had a busy day yesterday, so I can go for an hour. I can go for an hour and 15. So if there's stuff I want to talk about, or maybe something critical happened in what we're doing and I really want to dive into it, I can just do that. I can keep going and not have to split it into 2 episodes, or, because it's never the same once you stop and restart, in my opinion.
Do you ever, when you're in an episode, do you get that feeling when you know it's time to end an episode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, hey? It's just like this unconscious, subconscious. You can almost feel.
There's times when I need to end it, and there's times where I'm like, damn, I could have gone for another 45 minutes. And It was good, because every day when I would leave for work, I'd listen to my episode immediately. So basically I would upload the audio. I'd say goodbye to Corey. I'd go out into my van, and by that time it was available, because I would pre or post time, I guess. Like when I would set up the episode for my podcatcher or my podcast host, I would do it at 5:50 before the show, and then it would be all filled out, and then I would upload the audio, and it was easy. But that would do the timestamp of the episode as 5:50. And then I would upload it at like 6:40. Usually if you uploaded it at 6:40, it wouldn't be available till 7:15 or something like that. But since I initiated it at 5:50, I would
It's already
upload it
through
at
the queue.
6:40, and it was already ready at 6:45, like available in podcatchers. And I'm like, did I just stumble on something?
Oh, I like that. Man, you know what? For anybody who wants to know, we've covered like 20% of my SRF presentation tonight already. So we're doing really good. But find your efficiencies like you're talking about. You know, you put a whole system together.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only way to make consistent content that doesn't drive you friggin' crazy.
Yeah. Buddy always talked about he had a template, like he's got a fillable form for his episodes when he does like his when he records his episodes. He doesn't do his live, so he can really work through a spreadsheet. But it's like check the box, and when all the boxes are checked, it's time to publish it.
Oh, okay. I get
that,
it.
So I had that, but it was more of like the night before I'd set up all my show. I'd set up the stream the night before. So it was all set up. And basically I use StreamYard. So it was easy, like so easy, saves on data. That's a big reason why I do things live, is because I can do it to StreamYard, go to 7 different places. I don't have to upload it 7 times.
Yes.
I do the one stream and it goes. And then all I have to do is upload an audio file instead of all the video files, and the audio file is way smaller. So win. But yeah, so I'd set that up the night before. So I've got a Word document that I edit every day. So the show notes stay the same, like all the links, like I'm not changing those every day.
Yep.
I'm doing an editing, I'm doing a description, episode number and a title, and then a description, and then any show specific links. I do that. And then I copy the header of that and put it at the bottom, go and set up my StreamYard, get the YouTube link, bring it back and put it in there in that little clip it in the bottom. And then in the morning, I go to Facebook, MeWe, Twitter, all of those places, copy, paste. And that's the show, the link to the YouTube after it's done. So then I do the episode, hit download, and while it's processing, I go to all those places, hit send. By the time I'm done with that, the download is started, and it's quick on an audio file, and even with my shitty internet. And then up to the podcast host, hit send, and then I put my boots on and clocked into work.
Isn't that awesome? That's all it is, you know, figure it out. And you didn't stumble.
It took me a couple of weeks to figure out that. I mean, once I figured out, like, I could do this while this was happening, or I could do this beforehand instead of after, or the night before. You know, for a half-hour episode, I probably have an hour. I would say maybe about an hour. I wish it was 2 hours, and that's where I didn't have the time to do that, because I'd love to take 2 hours to research a topic, or like really get into the meat of something and do maybe 2 or 3 segments, and one of them is researched and one of them is firsthand, like yesterday what I did. But then spawning out of that is something more in depth that I really have to dig into, or a news. I hate the fucking news. Current event, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. But being able to take that hour extra and put that towards the show, I think would benefit the show immensely.
It's worth it. My Sunday routine is 5 o'clock. So my show starts at 7. At 5 o'clock, I come downstairs, do all the prep work. So now, if it's like a Thursday show where it's, all me, and so it's like a preparedness episode, I probably put 3 hours into researching and note writing, because I want it to be well put together. And then, but I always, no matter what prep went in ahead of time, I always go down at 5 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday night and do an hour of prep. And then it gives me that hour between 6 and 7 in case shit goes sideways. I can fix it. And if not, I go out and hang out with the missus and chill for a bit, so I'm away from the computer. And then it's just a system. I have there's a placeholder for tonight's episode already up there. And as soon as we're done, while we're shooting the shit, I'll download the audio. And almost every time it's live in podcatchers before I'm done talking to people.
Yep. Yeah.
So, oh yeah, we got other collaborations too. So, which one do you want to talk about first? You're launching. How about you? Why don't you talk about you and Josh and yourselves?
Oh yeah,
Like,
Josh,
yeah.
the Renegade Butcher over there in the chat. We're pretty, I guess, balls deep, man. Just go for it. Into Lightning, Lightning Network, crypto in general, but really seeing the possibilities and the implementations of Lightning. It's got to be adopted. There's a bunch of us that know what the hell we're talking about and can send it back and forth and whatever, but until you can get people to understand it on a layman's level, like if I'm trying to teach Corey, or I'm trying to teach my mom, until my mom can use it.
Did you just call Corey simple? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, and she'll get it up and down. Like she wants nothing to do with it. She knows she has me. She knows she has me. She knows where to find all the information. She knows who to go talk to with that information to figure it all out if anything happens to me. That's all she knows. And that's what she wants to know. And I do, and I've really been kind of bringing her along with Lightning because it's getting so simple. It's just understanding it initially. And we started talking, and Josh and I started talking. We started Lightning for Liberty Telegram group, where we had people jump in that were interested of all levels, like programmers. Like I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder. I don't want to say I'm a crypto genius by any means. I started 2.5 years ago. I heard about it. I mean, we all have our crypto cry story, but yeah, I couldn't find $100 to buy $100 worth of $13 of Bitcoin. So yeah, that's my cry story. Yeah, that was back 2012-ish. Yeah, so then I kind of forgot about it, got back into it. But yeah, so we have this group. We're both podcasters. We kind of bullshit all the time about it, and we are pretty decent at translating to layman. So we decided we're going to start a podcast called Lightning for Liberty. It's going to be like a half an hour once a week. We're going to bullshit about basically, we're going to each take kind of something that's going on in the space and discuss it each week, maybe for 10 minutes each. And then for the last 10 minutes, we're going to take questions from the Lightning for Liberty group, from our general audiences, anybody that's giving feedback to the podcast. So we're going to kind of, discuss things that are going on in the space and do it in a way that people can probably understand and then answer questions. So yeah, should be good. I think we're going to do it Wednesday nights, right before the after party. So we do have a hard deadline because, and if not, we would probably go hours every week. And I don't want that to turn into that. I don't want it to be like, holy shit. So we kind of decided we both have to do the after party. So we have to get off by 6 o'clock. So if we started at 5 or 5:15, we have to be done by 6.
So you engineered your schedule to make it work for you.
Yeah. Like we know ourselves and know how to prevent things because neither of us will be late for a show. And
I understand.
We both know that we can't shut up. So there we go. So Lightning for Liberty, if you're interested in Lightning or Bitcoin in general, or just learning about it. If you're new, we plan on doing some bigger, longer episodes where we have an idea of bringing on more of an expert in the field, maybe somebody from Fountain, or maybe somebody like Jack, if he's willing to do it, or somebody that has a higher grasp than us in the space, and then bringing someone on that's new, that trying to learn, doesn't understand, and kind of doing questions and back and forth.
You guys drug me kicking and screaming because it was May when everybody seemed to get like right hot and horny for Lightning. And you guys are like, it's so damn simple. It's so simple. You need to try this. And I'm like, listen, I ain't got time for it. Winter's coming. I'll deal with it then. And you just kept hitting me over the head with it. And after about a week, I'm like, fine. And it was so damn simple. And now I'm on Fountain. Fountain is like huge for me. I love it.
Yep.
And all because you guys kept kicking me in the ass and telling me I need to do this.
Well, yeah, that's the things. Like Josh and I were using Fountain before Fountain was like doing the streaming Satoshis and stuff like that. So we are really in it for the value to value, value for value. We see a space where, you do something and somebody finds it valuable and they can, I don't want to say reward you, give you value back, exchange value for the information you gave them. Like, it was great in my group. So we have the Lightning tip bot in our group. I think you do too in your group now, yep. Finally. But yeah, we had to work through some kinks with that. I mean, there's always, we're on the leading edge. Like Lightning is new. It's not brand new. I mean, technically, but as adoption goes, it's new. This is like Bitcoin in 2012. So you're on the leading edge. It's always better to know before things are going on, but you're also dealing with a lot of the hiccups and the working out bugs. So Josh and I have been really good at doing that, just messing with things and figuring things out. So I've enjoyed that. Over in my group with that Lightning tip bot, Nate Lemaster was building rabbit hutches the other day, and we were giving him advice back and forth, and boom, boom, shot us both tips with Lightning.
Yes.
It was currently, I mean, maybe 7 cents or $1 or whatever it was. I don't know what the conversion is right now. It doesn't really matter. But you know where I'm stacking right now? I'm not right now. So my theory right now is I'm putting a lot of this back in to spread it around, to get people to use it, to get them to understand that I'm giving you value for what you're saying.
Yes.
So you should now act in a space like that. Like now you go hear somebody else and value that, like exchange, and the people that are bringing the most value to the group are going to accumulate more value, because that's the way society should be. You should be paid on production and value, not on just fluff. So
I almost wish they didn't even do the streaming sats.
Oh yeah, dude. It was a great hook, but yep. it turned into a bitch fest, and I'm sorry. Like, if you're that upset over like 6 cents, I don't know if you're really grasping what the unbelievable opportunity that Lightning presents for compensating people for their value.
So up until I moved to Fountain, or launched on Fountain, technically I made $0.00 from my podcast. Obviously I used it to launch things like my Patch of the Month Club, and it all funnels into my YouTube. And am I making money from my content? I am. But the podcast itself made $0. All of a sudden you go to Fountain and people are like, hey, I like your shit. Here you go. Here's 1/20th of a cent, but it doesn't matter because it piles up.
Well, the beauty of it is right there. I mean, right here. YouTube. No, that's the
Where'd
YouTube.
It go? The one
you don't have YouTube on a YouTube logo. So when you monetize and you turn on super chats and you turn on that
30%.
30%. So Josh wants to send you $10. He wants to give you $10 in value. He thinks what you said was worth $10. He sends $10 to you, and you get $7.
Yeah.
So I understand that YouTube provides the platform and functionality, whatever. Great. You know what? Maybe Josh doesn't want to watch on YouTube. He wants to watch on Telegram. Telegram doesn't take a cut because they don't have monetization. So they're making their money somewhere else. So now he can send me value directly with Lightning. I have a QR code he can scan. I have an address he can send it to from his wallet. Josh has worked tirelessly to figure out how to develop a link that you can put in your YouTube comments that people can click on, that will open their Lightning wallet, and they can tip you directly instead of super chatting you. They can send you $10 by clicking that link. So, I mean, give it to the people that deserve it. The people making the content.
Well, and the other thing, there's two things. I mean, you tip directly, but the direct messaging that is involved as well is so damn slick.
Well, and the clipping, Fountain in itself is unbelievable. There's other value for value exchange enabled podcast players. I looked at a couple of them, and as soon as I started using Fountain, I was like, yeah, this is it. I didn't even have I had my podcast claimed through the Podcast 2.0 index using Satoshi Stream, whatever. You did it through a bot, basically. Josh claimed his through Fountain, and he was like, dude, it was super easy. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I emailed one of the developers for Fountain and said, dude, how do I undo it over here and do it on your shit? Because your shit is way easier than what I had to do. And the interface is way better. And he's like, oh, just do this. And like, it was snap, and done.
Hawk's not wrong. And I appreciate it totally. Like, I love it. Thank you, Hawk. And what a good man. He's one of my super.
Well, here, check this out. Check this out now. So with Lightning, if he had wanted to send it to the show because he was enjoying us going back and forth, and he wanted to send me 5 and you 5,
yes,
we could have set that up, or he could have set that up in his wallet. Boom, done. We split the after party, all the revenues from that, divide 8 or 10 ways. I think you get some, and you haven't even been on the show in a while.
Like 3 months. You got to take me off for now. But
well, no. You're just part of it. So it is what it is. I mean, you can come on whenever you want. You've contributed to the show, so you should get a cut of what we get streamed. Like everybody, like we've said, it's fractions of a cent. So who cares now? But that's with Bitcoin at $20,000
at the real low right now.
Yeah. So I'm throwing a lot of mine back in to other creators, to non-creators. A lot is where I value information coming from them in Telegram, and then also creators on Fountain. I spend a lot of what I earn in Satoshis, but I do have a chunk that I'm just kind of squirrel holing away, that gets siphoned off. It's a percentage I set up at the beginning. I said, when I get to this number, it gets cut in half. That goes to me, and everything else goes back. And it goes back up and down. And whenever I hit that number, I siphon off. And I mean, Bitcoin's eventually got to go up. Math says so.
So I should apologize, because as we're going along, I'm like, you know what? There's people out there that don't have a sweet clue what we're talking about.
You should watch Lightning for Liberty on next Wednesday night at 5.
Can you give the elevator pitch of Lightning, Brian?
Lightning is a way to interact with Bitcoin, basically. There's no fees. It's broken down into Satoshis, which is 1/100,000th of a Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is trading today, not trading, valued at $20,000 ish. A Satoshi is 1/100,000th of that. Lightning Protocol is a way to send that basically with no fees from user to user. So it's cryptocurrency, basically. You're transacting in Bitcoin, but it's not on blockchain Bitcoin. It's kind of like in its own little world. You put some of your Bitcoin in there, and you can send it around like air hockey pucks. It
reminds me of something, and I cannot remember what it is, because it's basically, I want to say, a skin or a skeleton built over top of the Bitcoin infrastructure.
It's a layer. A layer.
But somebody is, what do you want to call it? Holding it or backing it? You know what I mean? Or there's nodes.
That's kind of more not elevator pitch.
I know. Really what it is it's cash, right? It's like electronic cash that we can send around super quickly and hope, but it's completely run.
Basically, think of, I don't even want to compare it to this because it's just making it sound like it's illegal and everything, but like, think about a craps game with a bunch of money, a bunch of dollars, like the guys in the corner playing, shooting dice, and they got dollars and they're sending them back and forth. Nobody's taking a cut. Nobody's taking a skim. Nobody's doing anything. They're just value. I won. Here's the money. Bam, 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 bam. Well, now think of that on a global scale with no fees. There are fees. They're so minute you can't even detect them usually in the transactions. Now in the conversion in and out from dollars, yes, there's fees, but in the actual transaction. So I could send Tim, he's in Alberta. Tim, how far are you from Minneapolis? Like 6 hours?
Oh, I think it's quite a bit more than that.
8 hours. Look,
yeah,
quite a ways.
Yep.
I could hit send on my wallet and you would have it before I could tell you that I sent it. And it wouldn't cost me anything. And I could send you whatever amount of money I want.
It's like a private. Yeah. So in Canada, we have the Interact banking system, all debit cards, you can e-transfer money directly out of your account. It's really slick, but there's a lot of limitations and government and bank is completely in on it. That's what I like about Lightning is it's not. And it just works. It's just there. But
well, then there's all sorts of things that are running on top of it too. Like there's times you're paying dollars and it's running on the Lightning network. So
right. But I won't lie, it still is a bit confusing for the average person who is learning it. It's not as simple as going into a gas station, handing the guy behind the counter a $20 bill and walking out.
But it's
getting closer. It will, yes.
It will be very soon. Like that's what I was saying. We're at 2012 with Bitcoin. So just think about 8 more years of development, 10 more years of development on something that's already simple to use once you can grasp what's going on.
100%. LG, she was asking her, they were asking, I'm going to feel bad now. LG, I'm not 100% sure what LG stands for. So if you want to fill me in there, that would be great. But I'll do a segment and try to do justice on it down the road. And I'm sure I'll screw a few things up and I'll let Brian.
Oh, no, you can check out ours too.
Yes.
Check out Lightning for Liberty on Wednesday nights. Search Lightning for Liberty on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel and we'll be streaming there. And we have Lightning for Liberty on Telegram, t.me/Lightning for Liberty, I believe.
So the thing is about all these collaborations is they were almost organic. Hey, they're just a bunch of friends sitting around chatting, people whom we haven't even met in real life yet, but we know better than a lot of people we know in our hometown
and would rather know. Because
100%.
we're able to meet people that are like-minded. Well, what do like preppers, what are we known for? Like maybe like doing shit.
Yes.
We're getting other people to do shit. So when you get a bunch of people like us together, this is what happens.
We can't not plan. We can't not try to improve other people. Shit just has to get done. I can't not do something, whether it's help someone work through an idea or whatever. Yeah. But so the reason I was bringing that up was a few months ago, you sent me a message with some really shiny things in that message.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about this at all. Have you mentioned it at all?
I talked about it on the after party last Wednesday night because I was didn't we pay on Wednesday morning or Tuesday morning or something?
I think we did. Yeah.
So
all this, and like Brian and I was joking with Brian earlier that I'm the king of promoting things for 8 goddamn months before I actually launch them. But part of that reason is I like to talk out loud because it gives me accountability, because it forces me to keep going. But so Brian sends me a message, has some nice shiny things in this message. And I'm like, you know what? I wonder if he'd want to go in on this. I was going to steal your thunder, right? Because it was you're the guy that came to me. It was expensive. And
and it was too expensive for me to do. And not at the beginning. Like before we priced it out, when I sent them to you and I was like, dude, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I was thinking about doing it by myself. And then we started talking price and you had expressed interest in doing it yourself. And I was like, hey, I talked to the guy that I was working with. I was like, what if we do 2 guys? And he threw out a price and it was much more reasonable to start.
Yes.
And we're hoping to Ryan.
keep talking about it. I'm going to bring up his handle while you're doing this. So.
Yeah, Ryan at Curio Bullion. I bought some really cool silver bars from him. So Scrambling, Ryan Norton bought a really cool 2-ounce silver bar from Ryan. Super cool. He does artisan casting, so he designs casts. He's a silversmith. He's a hobbyist, but he's trying to get kind of rolling in it. So I reached out to him and I was like, dude, do you have any more of those that that Brian got? Because like that's pretty cool. And like I was looking, I had some money that I wanted to get into metals that I'd just been waiting. And it was a little bit of a premium, but I thought the art content was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm okay overpaying for it. I'm never going to use. I would sell it as an art piece if somebody was interested in buying it. I would, if I was selling it for silver, it ain't going to matter that I paid an extra $3 a fucking ounce for it.
Right.
At that point, these are more collectible for me. So I bought I don't know, like 10 ounces or like 5 more bars from him. And they were super cool. He was really easy to work with, shipped them right away. Everything was documented, very comfortable buying from him. Cryptocurrency, like didn't mind cryptocurrency, didn't mind check, PayPal, whatever. So I'm like, cool. And I was like, I wonder if he would, like how much it would be to like have him make my own coins, maybe
custom.
That would be cool. So I sent him a message and I was like, dude, you do like custom coins? Like, do you do this? I know you design these things. He's like, yeah, I could do that. What are you thinking? Originally, I was thinking like a 2-ounce bar, 1-ounce coin, and a 1/2-ounce coin.
Yes.
All with my whatever branding on it, whatever we came up with. Like, he was the artist. I basically told him, you're the artist. I'm not an artist. That's why I'm coming to you. Like, if I could design a fucking coin, I would send you a picture and say, hey, would you make this for me? So he came up with some stuff. And like I said, the price was kind of like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't mind holding metal, but
we should say it wasn't that his price was high. It's just in order to make it,
you had to do.
Yeah, because we were looking at 100-ounce bar in order to make it feasible. So you can do the math.
Right. So 100-ounce bar for the silver plus like work.
Yes.
The guy's got to make some money too. So I was like, holy shit. I can't do that. I can't do that on a whim to see if it's going to work. And I don't want to hold 100 ounces of silver. Like, I just don't want to in the camper. No. So I reached out to Tim and I was like, dude, are you interested? You said you were kind of interested in doing this. And Ryan was okay with it. And we kind of just worked with him individually. And so we're both, going to have our own custom coins here in the next few weeks because the silver's been paid for. And that's the biggest one-time silver purchase I've ever made. Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited. It was, so we basically went halves on a 100-ounce silver bar.
Yep.
And his payment will be some of the silver, right?
Yep.
And I ended up going with 1-ounce and 1/2-ounce rounds. Is that what you went with too, Brian? Or did you?
I did. Yeah. I did 1-ounce and 1/2-ounce rounds. And I'll show you a picture of them.
I wondered if we were going to do that. I didn't know if we were. So, okay, if we're going to do that, then let's tonight will be the world premiere of, there we are. Go. Okay, how are we going to bring this in here? You go ahead. You keep talking a little bit there.
Yeah, so the bigger one there is going to be a 1-ounce. They're going to be like antiqued. So one of the methods he uses is a sand casting mold. So it's more antiqued. There's a like a roughed out finish on it, and that's going to be like smooth edges, kind of old school pirate money type design. And then the 1/2 ounce, that's all going to be raised lettering. It's going to have a lot of texture to it, a lot of volume to it. We actually had to make a decision because the volume and the texture of the smaller one was so much that the coins almost look the same size. So we had to actually make one fatter and thinner to make them small, like adjust the size, because the cool part is he 3D prints the models, and he can tell the volume of the model, so he knows like it's a 1/2 ounce. Like you have to get the volume right, so then he can cast it with the model. It's pretty crazy process.
So mine's a little fuzzy. I didn't do perfect there, but so mine required a die as well. So I had to order a stamp that he puts in like a hydraulic press, I assume. Yep. And that's how it gets the really sharp edges. But I think I went with the top one. I'm pretty sure. So they're going to be
the top one.
Yeah, a 1 ounce round and a 1/2 ounce round. So, and we really haven't decided beyond that what the hell we're going to do with them, have we?
I haven't. I'm pretty sure we're pumping on 1,000 YouTube subscribers now that we've been able, like, really since Squatch Fest really started to put content out. Corey always puts some stuff out for the dogs with baby Walter. And then and then I started my podcast. We did a lot of follow-up farm stuff. I tried to do a lot of stuff with the camper, and then with the podcast being live, that's just YouTube content constantly. So that's really cool.
Yeah, Chicken Hawk said we let the silver out of the bag. This is kind of cool. I wasn't sure how far we were going to go with it, but why the hell not, right? So
yeah, so I don't know. We're pushing up at 1,000. We're at 700. We hit 700 the other day. So that's cool. So we're gonna probably give away some of this at 1,000 subscribers. That's gonna be like probably a drawing, and I'm probably gonna do it where I'm thinking about probably talking about it tomorrow on my show. But yeah, I'll tell you now. It's gonna be kind of like Jack did with his iPod. You know, if you can almost just tell me that you helped, that you shared it with somebody, that you told somebody about the YouTube channel, and then you email me, and that gets you in the drawing for some silver when we hit 1,000. So
nice. We'll get you there.
Gonna do a stupid, simple, like, here's your proof. Be an honest person. Like
when you the other day I was listening to your episode, and you said you're at 699. So I mentioned it to Charlotte. I'm like, Charlotte, you should go make a fake account and just subscribe to make Brian feel better. And I was like, no, we can't do that. That's not right. So
we ping-ponged like 699, 697, 698, 699, 698, 699, 698, 700. And I'm like, it's going to go back down. And then it went 701, 702, 703, 704, and then back down. It's like kind of, and now it's hovering over. So I think we're there.
Oh, yeah. So make sure, everybody, we're not finished yet, but just make sure you follow Brian on what is it on YouTube? I mean,
well, if you search the Lots Project, that it comes up, but it's if you want to type in the URL, it's youtube.com/Happy Hills Homestead.
There you go.
I did the custom URL, because we were never going to leave. So.
Yeah, whatever. But I'm excited. I'm doing a giveaway maybe you can help me with this while we're talking, but I'm at going to prepper camp. I had 100. I don't have them. Maybe I do. I'm not sure. I printed 100 tactical patches. They're die cut of my logo.
Nice.
So people love patches, but patches cost money. Yes. So I think I'm going to sell them at prepper camp for $10 a pop, and it puts you in the draw. So Coast Flashlights has agreed to give me I just reviewed their highest end 2200 lumen headlamp. It's $100. Yes. So they threw that in. I'm going to throw in a year subscription to Patch of the Month. Now that you mention it, probably a couple of silver coins. So anyway, I've got 100 of them. If I sell them all at prepper camp, great. I'm going to sell some at SRF as well. And it's going to be limited to 100 people to get into that giveaway. So that's been kind of my idea. And
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Like I'll probably give away coffee. Cause yeah, that's another thing that we both do, but we went separate paths on that. So I sell coffee for the Lost Project. I sell coffee for Baby Walter and Company now. So I'm sure we'll put together a coffee giveaway with that silver. Like, I'm all about value for value. If you tell people about my shit, I don't expect you to do, like, I hope you do it because you like the show, but like that's advertising for me. That's advertising I don't have to pay for. So I want to reward people for that.
Yeah, that was the Renegade said, sell them at SRF if they don't sell it at Prepper Camp. Yeah, that's my plan, you know. So, and what did he say? And he says, you're going to sell on to Chris because he never goes anywhere. Yes, I know. I gotta. These patches are crazy. I'm very happy with the response so far, and it's only going to get better because you're just building a base, right? But it's cool. And how about this? That all came from a throwaway conversation between Brian and I one night when we were getting ready for Fireside Freedom. Everybody was picking on me for my bald head. They made me feel really bad because I had a bald head, and it was awful. And they all told me I needed to get a hat. And I asked Brian how the hell he had so many goddamn hats. And he said, I don't. I have one hat, but I have a lot of patches. And all of a sudden, I realized that patches could come with Velcro on them because I'm an idiot and didn't know any better. So there we are. And then I realized, holy shit, everybody loves patches. Yep. And somehow I think I got inspired from Amy launching her newsletter, which was something physical. And anyway, that's where it came from. Again, collaboration, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working so we have a tough thing with, it was easy when we were here, selling products from the farm. You know, I could do I could do local, like obviously have local customers in person and everything. Online wasn't that big a deal. I did sell a bunch of stuff online and ship it, but I had the room for all the supplies, all the stock, all that stuff. Going on the road with no room to store anything, really kind of gone to a smaller products or white labeled products and things of that nature. And membership models and stuff like that. Like I look at Jack again, is just, the dude's a genius. Looking at his membership model and just really working into that, trying to find companies that are willing to do something of that and bring more value to people than you charge. That's my goal. Yeah, that's my list, man. Like I'm looking at what I need to charge as a membership to make it worth it. And I'm making a list of people that are willing to give me discounts where people can make more than that. And when I can make more than that, I can have a membership program. So
exactly. And that's what part of my patch of the month club is. It's going to grow into discounts as well. I was listening, Gary V. You heard Gary V? Yeah. So he was talking the other day. It was some video, and the idea was give your content away for free. But not just shitty content, give everybody your value, all of it. Don't hide it behind a paywall per se. Although anyway, but just don't,
you do.
But he does. I was just thinking he does that some, but anyway, that's another story for another day. But yeah, give everybody the value, give them more value than you think maybe even it's worth. And people will reward you for that because you're exchanging. They're not just giving it to you because, I feel sorry for that Tim. He lives in Canada and he deals with Justin Trudeau. So I'll give him, 3 cents American, which is like $75 Canadian, right? It is what it is. But that's where it comes down to. And I think that's where Jack did so well with it is he never hid anything behind a paywall. Everything was value, right? You always get, and I mean, it's the damn thing sells itself because I'm a member.
Yeah, I'm a member, and I don't even use some of the discounts because I've made relationships with other people in there that I don't need to give them I would rather give the value to them than take the discount. But they know that I'm that Jack's getting the discount. Like I communicate that. I communicate that I'm an MSB member, but I want to support you at full price.
Anyway, again, we're sneaking right into my notes for SRF, but there's I made a list. There's at least 6 creators in the last year that I have bought things or supported from that I've not used, touched, or looked at. I simply bought it because I wanted to support someone who has added value to my life.
Correct.
Yep. And do you want to work through? I got 9 starred comments here. We'll work through some of them and see where we end up and
roll it.
LG.
Yeah. Oh no. I was going to tell you with the silver. I don't know if you've thought of this, but I plan to, if it goes well, doing it again. Hopefully, but I'm thinking about numbering these ones, and then maybe another set, like depending on how they sell. Yes, numbering the first set, and then everything else will just be a stock, and then these will be the numbered set, depending on how they sell.
Well, I asked him to put the date on mine, just the year.
Right.
Yeah, so that way those first whatever, I'm not sure how many we're going to end up with, like 40 ounces or 40 something anyway, but so that was kind of my thing. I'm like, you know what? So the next ones will be run with 2023 on them or whatever it is, but I want those first ones to be, it's like my patches, right?
Yeah. So and we're hopefully setting up a model for other content creators to use for Ryan. That's my goal.
Oh, absolutely. Because he hasn't done, this is the first time for other people, right?
Correct.
Yes. And he's excited. I told him, and I'll do videos about it. It'll be great.
I told him to make video of doing it, and I want to use it.
I want to see the bar. That's what I want. I haven't even seen that. I'm excited.
Yeah, I gotta remind him. I gotta keep sending him messages to take pictures of fucking everything and send it to me, because I'll throw it all sorts of fucking promo shit together with it.
Well, that's the way to do it. And, let's talk about this before we go into the comments. It's hard. I remember you telling me when you were filming stuff for your RV upgrade, and you were constantly forgetting to film or just didn't take pictures or video of things, or
got the wrong videos and pictures.
How did that happen? What'd you do there?
Just like set up the tripod and start working, and either forget to turn it on or turn it on, and then the dog walks by and bumps it over like 3 inches, so it's not shooting what you're doing, and you do 40 minutes worth of work that I'm not going to undo. Fuck you. I was like wiring panels and stuff, and the dog would walk by and hit the tripod, and it would move it off the panel. So all you could see was my elbow and like maybe a screwdriver every once in a while.
It happened.
And then I was doing the wind would blow on the top of the camper. I took a whole week off of work and did 9 straight days of like 17-hour days. And I put in a complete solar system, a wood stove, a composting toilet, and something else in that week, and filmed it all, and got maybe like 4 videos out of it. It was horrible. It was absolutely, I got it all, and I was going to like voice over all of it. And it was just a mess. So now I just do videos and I just talk through them, and I don't care if I mess up, because it's just, I can't do it the other way.
Yep. I get it. And it's hard to remember even to just especially when you get a little frazzled or you're busy, you got a lot on your plate, to take that minute and think, okay, now I got to shoot this picture, or I got to take this video, or I got to, and it's tough.
I got way better at it when we got really done with the farm, and all my job right now is doing the camper, doing content, and the truck conversion. Like when it was just that, I didn't have all the chores and everything too. It got a lot easier.
And it becomes routine. It does, but
it got a lot easier last Tuesday too. Like even more. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but my content creation since last Tuesday has gone kind of on a very steep uphill. All of a sudden, it's like I have time to do it now.
I'm excited. You know me, once November 1st comes, my schedule changes completely. I get those 5 months of snow weather where I think there was quite a bit of time last winter where I live streamed, I think, just about every evening.
Yep.
There was one night Brian messaged me. He's like, "Did you fall asleep during that live stream?" I'm like, "No, I didn't, but I was on the phone with a tenant that was having a bad night."
Yeah. I know Becky and Corey are like, another one.
Yep,
another one.
Becky doesn't care. She just binges her shows. She's like, I'll watch whatever, and it's like, yeah.
Corey's different watches while I do it next to me. So
I've had Becky on a couple times. I got to have her on again, but have to get Corey on sometime.
Oh, I interviewed her.
Oh yes, you did. Yeah. So
probably my best interview. That is my most watched interview of any of them. Is my freaking wife.
Did she put a picture of her feet on the thumbnail?
I did.
Oh, there you go. See, that's what it
didn't even get age restricted either.
That's funny. So LG says, topic idea. If you haven't done it already, for the new people to your channel, who you are, what you're about, and what to expect from the next coming season. That is the easiest and the hardest thing to do as a content creator, because constantly, in my mind, I'm always thinking I've already done this topic. I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? I don't want to repeat it, but you have new people coming all the time. And we do a disservice if we don't go back over content we've done before or who the hell we are. That's a good one, LG. And I'm going to
start doing that. Like I was saying, more segmented portions in the show, where once I get some time to be able to develop the show, I can do more. And one of it's going to be circling back to something from my time here on this homestead, whatever topic it was, like basically my first 140 episodes broken down now into like 10 minutes in a new show, and then reference back those old episodes. That's kind of one of my plans. And then, my 100th episode, I kind of told the story. My 200th episode is in 2 weeks, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to see how it's changed, and you can listen to both episodes, and they've been 100 days apart. Well, like 150 days apart, I guess.
Paul Harrell, he's a YouTube gun guy. I don't know if you've ever seen him, or one of the bigger ones. Every time he hits,
you watch that, so you can wish you could do that.
Oh, every time. Well, you know what? That's half the reason why I'm going to the street or to the state. Sorry, but
dude, I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited for me. We'll talk all about that.
Yeah, for sure.
But he, so every time he hits another 100,000 milestone, he goes back and recovers who he is, where he came from. He calls it his frequently asked questions episode, but it's basically, he tells he's been involved in lethal encounters for, personal defense before. Mm-hmm. He tells that story. He just tells everything, and it's really cool, Yeah. Let's go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I was going to, first off, Chicken Hawk said, apparently I told him to quit his job and start making videos. So yeah. But Ken said, have you found a sweet spot for amount of content to create?
All of it.
YouTube, the algorithm will chew you up. It is a cruel mistress, and it will chew you up, spit you out, swallow you, run you through the large and small intestine, and you can never do enough for it. Number one. So I don't know. Here's what I can say. When I first started, I was doing 5 videos a week. Some of them were good. Some of them weren't good. They were okay. I started doing my podcast. So I'm still at 5 pieces of content a week, but I have three podcasts now. So I went back to 1 review video a week, and I never saw any drop in my content or in my analytics. But also I was growing at the same time. So then recently, again, decided, hey, I think it's time for a second review video every week. So now I'm back up to 2. It's so hard. I don't know. There's no right answer, but I would say minimum, in my opinion, is once a week. Has to be. What do you think, Brian?
Once a week?
Minimum. Like they're talking about content creation,
Yeah. Because, I mean, so what's my goal?
Just the sweet spot. He's just asking what the sweet spot for him.
As long as it's consistent. It depends on really what platform you're talking about. Are you talking about a podcast?
Good point.
you really got to look at how long it is, what you're talking about. If you're talking about daily crypto trends, you kind of got to do one daily, maybe twice a day. And if you're doing like the NFL recap, you're going to want to do it like on Wednesdays once a week, and you're probably going to want to do a little longer episode. So it really depends on the content and the media that you're doing. Like TikTok, fucking as many as you can in a day.
Some of the big ones are 3 or 4 a day,
At least.
Like, yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, you don't know which one's going to be the one that it's such a viral platform. And you can do the dumb shit, and but do you really want to build followers that way? So do your shit, do you, and do as many of them as you can, and somebody's going to see it and like what you said, and then they're going to show the people that they know that are in the same communities. Like, we're meeting people. Like, I've really developed the relationships, the great relationships in our communities that we kind of run in circles, like Jack's community and everything, and everything that's spawned out of it, which is enormous. I've really started trying to tap into other communities. I'm really moving into like the full-time RV community, which I really got to know when I was researching how I was going to do this. So this is a new community I'm tapping into, but I'm really comfortable with the self-reliance, homesteading, permaculture, get shit done crew. Maybe the full-time RVers aren't quite the same as that, but they're also something that I'm doing. So I really want to talk about that, because I'll be talking about it more. I'll be talking about it maybe from a different angle than a lot of them are, because I'm coming from
self-reliance,
ESP-ish background, homesteading, like self-sufficiency, and moving into this. So I'm looking at it probably from a way different angle, hopefully a fresh new angle that's coming into that space.
You're jumping into my SRF notes again, big time. Jesus. Yeah. It's not a bad but you're right. I mean, because, well, I have about just over 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I know people who have 20 and 30,000 subscribers, and I make significantly more income from my YouTube channel than they do, or from my content creation, because for some of them, I had one video that went viral and everyone jumped on and subscribed.
Right.
There's not they didn't build a community. They just built numbers on a piece of paper, or an
they have subscribers. They don't have viewers.
Right. And they don't have a community, because I would rather have 100 top, like committed people that I interact with, have a good time with, are part of the community, than 10,000 people who just kind of, because that's where it comes from. And then get out into the different communities, because, the TSP and surrounding communities, great. But even for me with tools and preparedness, there are all these other prepper communities out there that I didn't even know existed. And I start finding them, and I'm like, oh, hey, Prepper Broadcast Network.
That was really cool. When you tapped into that was really cool. I got to expand some contacts through you starting doing that, just from listening, and then some of those guys coming over and participating in your chat.
Isn't that cool? Like how Apartment Prepper was on the other day. What an awesome lady she was. And she's in this whole other group of loosely connected prepper channels that all have that 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers. Not one had I heard of, not one did I know, not one that I could tell came from any influence that we already dealt with. And she introduced me to all these people. And now I've got all these new, it's just awesome.
So I realized something at the after party.
Right.
So we were talking about my upcoming interviews. So Brian met this girl, Jackie, who runs a magazine. Were you on with Jackie the night Jackie was on the after party? Jackie Kerouac?
No, I don't think so.
She runs Road to Autonomy magazine. So
okay.
Super cool. she was on the show. We got talking. But anyway, I was going to interview her, and then I'm talking to Testimona. She's going to be at SRF.
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, I saw her down there last time in the spring. And Brian's like, oh, did you meet her at Squatch Fest? I'm like, what? He's like, oh, yeah. She was I knew she had been from California, but I guess she was from Northern California, hung out with a bunch of guys from Oregon, other musicians, and that had been to Squatch Fest or knew people or whatever, knew people that I met at Squatch Fest when I went. And I was like, what? This is like all these different worlds colliding in different places.
Separation. Yeah.
Like I sat in Tennessee and looked at her and went, she doesn't really, it wasn't that she didn't fit in, but she was dressed different than everybody. She was dressed like a musician, like
right,
nicely. Everybody else was just like, yeah, it's hot. So, so I'm like, kind of out of place, whatever. And then John started interviewing her. John talked to her, and I was like, oh, yeah. And so I started listening to her stuff and whatever. And I reached out and I was like, hey, you want to come on the show? I'll see you down at SRF too, blah, blah, blah. And then Brian's like, yeah, she hung out with that dude you met at Squatch Fest. What?
People I interview give me some of the best guest suggestions out there. Afterwards, even sometimes they'll follow up with me after and they're like, oh, hey, this is somebody you should interview. You know, I've had that happen on multiple occasions. I'm like, oh, thank you. Sure. And I always do, because if I had a good interview with them, they're going to know who's going to interview well with me, you know?
Right. Yeah, I get to interview Jackie. She's fun. She's a character. She's a badass bitch for sure. Been through the ringer back and forth and kind of come out on top. So she'll be a fun chat.
I like stories like that. I do. Cabot asked if we were making money from the podcast. I think we touched on that a little bit already, but how is that effort worthwhile? I'll touch on it a little bit. No matter what you do when you first start content creation, you better be willing to do it for free, because you're not going to get paid for the first year or two. Yep. But podcasting is a weird scenario. It is a funnel. Number one, it's a creative outlet for me, but I wouldn't just do it if that's all it was. But it is a way to build community. It's a way to give value. It's a way to build a content catalog, and it's a way to funnel to your money-making endeavors. I mean, look at Jack. I mean, he has literally basically only done podcasting for 13 years, and it would probably scare you how much he makes from it.
Yeah.
You know, like really, when it comes down to it, for sure.
Well, and it would really scare you what he walked away from to do that.
Yes, absolutely. So, but it's not easy. Like you said, I mean,
but you got to be willing to build it.
Yes.
Like you can't have the illusion that you're going to turn on a mic and talk and be Joe Rogan or Jack Spirko or Nicole Sauce or even Toolman Tim, because I know you got a bunch more listeners than I do, but you've also been at it for 2 more years, so I have no problem with that.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a step. Everything.
Oh, right. And like you said, it's a funnel to everything else. Like
right.
Corey doesn't necessarily like talking as much on air, on videos, and on a podcast. She did 2 years of Instagram only, pretty much, with the dogs, and built that like crazy. So, have we figured out how to monetize Instagram with the dogs? We're trying to figure it out now. Like, we're exploring more options. It's not, we don't have a product with the dogs now. We do. We have coffee branded with the dogs. So that's kind of the direction we're going with it. But for a long time, what product do you have? We made calendars. It's a really tough market. People are following the dogs because they're cute and fluffy, not because they want to support you.
It is. Yeah. But I think you can figure out a way. If you give enough value to anyone, I think you can figure out a way to make a living off it if you try. You know what I mean? Like, it's It's not easy, but it's there eventually, I think. And you guys are, yeah. But
yeah, and I don't do podcasting to make money. I mean, eventually I would like to. I do it, like you said, a catalog of content. It's basically everything I do ends up on the blockchain. And yeah, maybe somebody 1,000 years from now is going to listen to me and go, holy shit, those times were fucked up.
Yep. And I also have said another reason is when I'm long gone, my kids and grandkids will be able to go back and watch that crazy dad or grampy, whatever you want to call me, and listen to me rant about, prepping and tools and everything else. Like, oh man, interesting. It's there.
Well, here you go. So Corey's grandfather earlier this year passed away. He was I think he was 97. I mean, been through everything. World War II, was at Normandy, delivered mail on a bicycle in World War II. And saw all sorts of stuff. Had a heart attack at 48 and was an engineer for General Mills and built factories, and it's crazy life. And if he had been able to record content his whole life, the catalog of information and stories and knowledge that man could have put out there was crazy. So I love to go to talk to him. I'm a junkie for stuff like that. I could talk to him all the time. He was a woodworker, and 97 years old. You've seen it all. And he lived in Minnesota. He was up in the Iron Range in the mines. His dad was a mine supervisor. So he was on the better side of town. So he got to see the higher end picture, but he was always aware and cognizant of the poorer people, and always felt privileged. And he said Rio. So we talked about white privilege and all this. And he says, I was privileged because I was in a family that had a lot of money just because, and these people were working so hard and didn't have it. I was privileged. And so listening to a man talk like that and just absorbing knowledge from him, I can only imagine if he had a mic in front of him for 97 years.
Well, my grandmother died in 1990. And one day, a few years after, we were digging through a bunch of tapes, and Dad found a tape that had a snippet of her voice on it. That was all that existed. The only recording that anybody had of her voice. And she died in 1990. I mean, I'm not saying that, because of course the technology existed, but even camcorders were a thing. They were a high-end thing in the 80s,
right?
And in the 70s, the only way is if you had Super 8 and you could record, and it cost, but I mean, really, the 90s and up, right?
And so I brought up her grandpa. There's just one more thing about him. So
yeah.
With all that life experience and everything, and so I always shared the farm stuff with him. He was super interested in the farm stuff, and so he lived half hour north. So we'd go up and see him, and we'd see him at holidays, and always asking what we were doing on the farm. Supported us more than anybody, as far as he didn't buy stuff per se, but you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. He knew, he was old enough to know that we were doing the proper thing. Right. So when we decided to do what we were doing and shut down the farm, I went up and talked to him, and I think it was probably the last time we saw him before he passed away. Was we were telling him, he's like, now explain this. We told him we were doing the camper thing.
Yeah.
And then we finished the camper and we were talking to him, and he's like, explain what you're doing. And I told him we were going to go kind of travel the country and try to find some place to start again and do it all our own, and just all the reasoning behind it. And he looked at me and goes, you're doing the right thing.
Aww.
And I was like, okay, that's cool. I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks in the world, because this dude has seen more than anybody alive right now. So I'm going to take his advice over most other people.
I love it. Josh, Renegade Butcher, he said, podcasting is telling your story. The money comes from the people who believe in the story, not the ones who just listen. You build authenticity, and those that value that return the value.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. Not even close. Josh, that's nailed it on the head, man. what else we got here? We got, but then he also said, but making content sometimes is hard. As we were talking about, he said he had another comment earlier that said, I love to talk, but making content is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And then follow it up with this one. He also put, super self-critical. Listen to all my own episodes to figure out what I want to do better. And if you're not
I was happy the other day when I listened to my show and I was like, man, I didn't say, I only said it 3 times in that whole episode.
Do you remember another idea I mentioned to you a while back? Public speaking through Zoom.
Yeah.
So I'm still, it's going to happen eventually. It might be a year or two down the road, but communication is one of those things that if you can learn to be an effective communicator, it's a huge step up for content for sure.
Yeah.
Nate said, our interview we have coming out next week was over 2 hours and we could have kept going. It was 12:15 in the morning. We had to stop for sleep issues. Those are the good episodes.
I had that with Stanley and Nicole that I met out at Squatch Fest, and their story was just unreal. They have crappy internet. They were on the show that was the genesis of the after party.
Yes, they were.
With you and Brian.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, see, it all comes together.
So we'll go with Josh first. He said, is my most used word by far. It's tough. It's a filler. I just go, it's a filler.
Well, I usually say it when I'm reading something. More often than not.
Don't be scared to pause. Don't be scared to take 2 or even 3 seconds of dead air. People think you're being introspective instead of trying to find the right word. But if you can train your brain that when you get to that filler word, instead of saying it, you just shut the hell up and come out with something else, you're way better off. Way better off. But it's not easy. I still use filler words. So, See? So, sometimes I trail off with a so.
Yeah, but you have all those Canadian words you can say.
No doubt about it, you hoser.
Then you just sound more authentic.
Aaron said that's how I am. We're talking about when you mentioned Corey asking you about lightning or learning from you, but she said I can ask Nate and he'll know more. Scrambling's lighten up tonight. But Aaron said sign me up. I want to do I think that's supposed to be so much more, but feel like I need practice. But to get practice, I need to do it. Yes, I love it. I think I would, at some point in my life, I am going to be full-time content creator. That is my goal. And yeah, again, we're jumping into SRF territory.
Did I tell you what comes with the sale of the house?
No.
Drone and a GoPro.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah. I talked Corey into it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Roll some better content. It's also a business tool because if we're going to go and look at properties, it's really nice to be able to get up in the air over top of like a raw land and look from above, just on the fly and not rely on other people's pictures and stuff like that and not have to walk 10 acres and try to see everything.
I've wanted to frig with a drone. I just haven't made the time. Or, you know how I talk about I get that itch where I need to learn something. I haven't got that itch for a drone yet. I may at some point, but I do know a Mr. Dixon 3-4 hours away from me who has one who would come up anytime to help me or do some filming. It would be fun because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, John was talking about it on one of his shows, and I saw when I was down there, he had them up all the time. And after his lives one night, he was talking about all the drones he had, and I just asked him a question about it, and he was telling all the different ways he uses it and making his content. He's like, half the time you don't have to fly it. Like, it has the gyro on it. You can hold it and just go like, like this. And it looks like the drone is flying around because the camera still does its thing like it's flying. And I'm like,
yeah, John,
I have it out driving down the road every time, all the time. Like in the car, it's ready to fly because I don't want to see something and go, oh, if only I didn't have to get the drone out. He's like, I have no excuse. The drone is out.
Aaron just come up with a great idea. Episode idea: have someone on who's learning how to interview and practice. You can call it a train wreck show. I would never call it a train wreck show, but I love the idea. Wouldn't that? Oh, that would be but embrace the suck, you have to.
You just have to do it.
Yep.
You have to get some cake interviewer people. You have to get the right guest to give you an opportunity to learn.
And it certainly helps to be interviewed by someone who can handle an interview as well. Yes. And Josh said Aaron just volunteered, because I look at it as a challenge sometimes. I've had a couple interviews that have been challenging, very challenging. And I think you and I have talked about at least one of them behind the scenes. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
It is what it is. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's nothing. It's a different. It's a different skill. Not a lot of people have it. It's a good interviewer can make a bad interviewee better.
Yeah.
You can make a decent interviewee phenomenal, but you can bring some, like, there's just some people you can't get there, and you can make it work for as long as you need. Like, you can do it, and it is what it is, but you got to be good at what you do and lead conversations and dig deep and maybe talk more than you wanted to, or maybe should, as an interviewer, because as an interviewer, you really, unless it's a conversation, like this is a great conversation. Like,
yeah.
Like if I'm interviewing someone,
shut the hell up and get out of the way.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question and let them go. That's the best episodes I've had, is like, hey, here, tell your story. And, oh, you're kind of not telling your story anymore, so I'm going to ask you another question to get you kind of back on your story, but then that's it.
Hunter said I was going to ask about bad interviews. So a lot of people think that interviews are the easiest shows. They can be. You can ask somebody for 6 questions, have them give you 6 questions, and show up 10 minutes before the interview and ask them those 6 questions. But all that's going to be is a Q&A. That's not an interview.
Right.
The longer I do it, the less I want questions from the person I'm interviewing. I almost don't ask for them anymore. I like to dig deep into the person, because everybody has everything online. It's all there.
Yeah.
And then you ask, and like William Forston, the author I had on the other day, there was stuff I asked him that surprised him. How did you know that? Or how did you find that out? And I'm like, it's all online. You just have to do the due diligence and then form it into, I try to make a theme too, bring it all together. I'm going to do an episode on this, but anyway, yeah. We've talked about everything tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill. I ask for the questions, and it's to make sure I know what they want to talk about.
Absolutely.
I think that interviewing someone about something that they want to talk about, and then intertwining other things, like you said, that I can find out about them. So by asking those questions, I see where their focus is, what they're going to be comfortable sharing. I rarely ask the questions word for word.
Oh, yeah.
It's more of I want to know what they're expecting, and then I put my twist on it, I guess. And then, yeah, like I'll watch their content or read their posts. There's things like that.
Instagram.
Yeah. So,
and Chris says not everybody puts everything on. It doesn't need to be everything. It just needs to be one thing that someone else hasn't. See, here it is. Okay, I need to share something. So this year, one of my goals was to become a better interviewer. And I have, no doubt about that. I picked Joe Rogan, I picked Art Bell, and I picked Hot Ones as the 3 people that I was going to watch and emulate. And from about the time I had James from Prepper Broadcast Network on, that night I asked him a question that he'd never been asked before. And I knew I'd found it. I at least was starting to find it, which made me excited. And that right there, Hawk, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, maybe I have, but that is exactly where I got the idea of digging deep and finding things that people don't know. And it's there. Most people interview like a media junket. You know, when, say, I don't know, Iron Man there, Robert Downey Jr. is doing the, you know, if for people who don't know, he sits in a hotel room and the press cycles through. You get 10 minutes to ask him what his favorite color socks are and why he's a vegetarian. That's it. That's all you get. And I'm not doing it like that. I want to ask the questions that are somewhere other than whatever that is, for sure. But yes, Hunter, Hot Ones is, I don't even know the guy's name. I think it's maybe Sean something. He looks like a Sean. Maybe I'm wrong. But they sit down and eat 10 hot wings. Yeah, I love it. They eat 10 hot wings that get progressively hotter. And he asks questions as they go. And they need to suffer through it. We should do that some night, our own rendition. That would be fun.
At SRF.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you, LG. That makes I appreciate that. And also, I need to mention, you can tell when I'm getting excited or passionate about something, because that right there is what happens. No do to boot it. The old Maritimer starts coming out.
Yeah.
Renegade says, personally, I'd rather thoroughly interview a guest well before the show, then have a good chat with a cool vibe live when the guest is already comfortable with me and forgets the camera is rolling. That 10 minutes, I try to tell everybody to at least log in 10 minutes early, because then you know people's safe words and the things they don't want to talk about. And, yeah,
you do.
Yeah, I will. If there's an issue that I think is either controversial or maybe awkward or odd for someone, I will ask them. I'm like, so what aren't you comfortable talking about? And normally they'll say, so I guess you know about this, and they'll be like, yeah, and I'll talk about it. And yeah, I've probably a half dozen times where I've had that in the green room beforehand. And they'll either say yay or nay, but I will never, if I ever make somebody uncomfortable interviewing, that's not my style, and I need to quit, because I've had a few times where I've been rolling in an interview and I had the opportunity to ask a question that would have made the guest uncomfortable, but would have been a really good soundbite. And I've not done it. And I'm really proud of myself for that, because that's not what I do. And I'll never do that. And if I ever do, I want somebody to call me out on it, because it's not fair.
Yeah, especially if you've asked prior.
Yes. And if I haven't asked, it's none of my damn business to ask. Like I watched that one with Robert Downey Jr. and he was supposed to go in to talk about Avengers. And what ended up happening was the guy asked him about his prior drug use. And Robert Downey Jr. was sitting there and he's trying to be nice. And finally, he's like, interview's over, get out. So I'm not going to put somebody through that. And that's fine. If you want to be TMZ, go for it. But that ain't who I am. So we've been almost 2 hours, Brian.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, it does. Aaron says, I don't even want to watch our interview with Brian way back when. Oh, my God, it was probably awful. It was probably my first live stream.
They did fine.
100%. And so, Aaron, I'm going to put it out there. If you want to come on in when I get back from SRF, we will do a train wreck episode. I would love to do that, but I won't call it that because that's not fair to you. But we'll come up with a name for it. Because I think
she's going to interview you.
I don't know. We'll ask her. I thought I was supposed to interview her, but you know what? Maybe that would be fun. Have her on to interview me. Wow, that's a way better idea, Brian. Now Aaron, yeah. Now Aaron is real. Now she's shitting bricks. I can just tell. You can hear her. I'm like, yeah. Well, what do you think? I think it's time.
What kind of undergarments you like best?
Oh yeah, we did that to her, didn't we? Well, not quite, but yeah, when we ran them over the coals, right? But Aaron says I'll start drinking now. What do you think, Brian? How do people find you? Where do they go? What the hell do they do?
TheLotsProject.com is the easiest place. There's Connect tab there and get social. And I think the last 4 or 5 episodes of my podcast are there. You can search The Lots Project pretty much everywhere. Make sure you put the, or you're going to get some weird shit. Not that mine isn't weird, but you want The Lots Project. Podcast catchers everywhere, especially fountain.fm. YouTube, like I said earlier, just search The Lots Project or Happy Hills Homestead. You can find Baby Walter and Company. Grounded Souls is Corey's like foot thing. So we're kind of all under the Lots Project umbrella and doing it all under that. So
kicking ass and taking names.
Trying.
You're doing good. Absolutely.
Getting there.
Yeah, it's coming. I'm proud of you for what it's worth. You're doing great. So this was fun. We ended up down the rabbit hole of talking about the trials and tribulations of content creation as much or more than we did collaboration, but it's all part of the same game.
But we're collaborating on the trials and tribulations of content creation. So,
and do you see how we came up with some really good ideas simply by sitting here and talking?
Mm-hmm.
And it's never filler. That's what I love, our conversations, because I've had some people say I go on these certain live streams and all it is somebody rambling on about the next guy that just came into the chat, and so I don't ever want that to be that. I want it to be, once again, value, right? And Hunter says, what was the topic supposed to be? So, all right, guys, we're going to end it there. What a great episode. We'll get it in under 2 hours. That way I don't have to split it into 2 episodes. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, guys, thank you, Brian. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.